that I was able to come down from the mountains, and at this time, is he here? Okay. We're going to introduce Dr. Ron Paul, Congressman Ron Paul. It was my privilege when Dr. Paul ran for president to be his co-chairman here in Arizona for this presidential race. And I was absolutely amazed at the reception that he received from the people here in Arizona as he went about this state. The fire that is burning in people for freedom and liberty that has ignited across this country is really strong here in Arizona, thank goodness. And as Dr. Paul came around and was here presenting himself, the encouragement and the spirit that was among the people that greeted him was amazing. And I would like to, at this time, have him come up here and speak with you today. And this is a man who has sacrificed so much for the service of this country. I'm probably about as old as he is, and so I followed his career from the time he was a young man and got into Congress, went on to be a presidential candidate for the Libertarian Party, back into the Republican Party, and back into Congress, thank goodness. How blessed we are to have at least one really honorable man there that stands up and defends our freedom and liberty. I'm so grateful for him. And I would like to introduce him at this time. Thank you.
It's so nice to see everybody. The hardcore, that is. That is great that you're here. I don't know if you heard, but we had a pretty nice rally here yesterday. Worked out real well, and a nice function last night. So I think the people are getting our message. What do you think? I keep being surprised because the truth is I thought the campaign wouldn't go very far. Of course, if you look strictly to the numbers, a couple of years ago, the numbers didn't go very far, but the enthusiasm and the impact, I think we have gone a long way, and I think that is a reflection of supporters like you. So, since the campaign's been over, I would say the momentum has continued very well. In many ways, the attention that free market economics are getting, the significance of the deficit, the foreign policy attitudes are changing, and certainly we're getting a lot more attention about the Federal Reserve System. I've worked in this business for a long time. Some people call it the political business, but I guess the last interest I have is being involved in politics. I've been involved in politics for one reason. It has given me an opportunity to be involved with education. In 1976, the first year I was elected, it was the year I started my Foundation for Rational Economics and Education. Which means that I think education is basic to what we do, whether it's an organization that runs a campaign or an organization like this for organizing. But ultimately, the only thing that really counts is what we believe in. If we have a grand organization and you're perfect and you have all the money and energy to put into something, but you're promoting the same stuff that gets us into trouble, if there's nothing new, if it's all Keynesian economics, it's a foreign policy of interventionism, it's a monetary policy of inflationism, if we do that, even with a lot of money in an astute organization, it doesn't excite me that well. What I'm interested in is changing people's attitudes. We do have a revolution going on in this country. Quite frankly, I'm convinced of that. And the ultimate revolution isn't limited to a narrow group of people. It isn't limited to one party. So we may work in one party, like most of us do, but ultimately, you know, it has to be pervasive. And that's what happened to us in the 20th century. The attitudes became pervasive, and they engulfed both political party, and they had all the rules and laws to exclude alternative parties. And I think it's a telling statement on what the socialist candidate, you know, for president. Finally, when he quit, they asked him why he quit. He says, Republicans and Democrats have accepted all our positions, and why run anymore? So someday, maybe that's what will happen here. The ideas of liberty, which aren't exactly new. It's not like we're inventing this. It's been around for a while. It's been developed. It's relatively new when you think of all of history, because they're only a couple hundred years old where we really concentrate on. But they're not new in the sense that we've just invented these ideas. They evolved and developed, and our founders put them together and gave us a fairly good constitution, and we benefited tremendously from these ideas, and we had great wealth and great personal liberty, but the last century has not been very good to us, and it's been undermined. There's essentially no respect in Washington for the rule of law, for the Constitution. Recognizing that the Constitution is not perfect is one thing, but to totally ignore the Constitution so that they can throw out all the good parts, that's where our real problem is today. So the members of Congress, they rationalize. They don't go to bed feeling guilty about the way they voted. They said, oh, the Constitution is supposed to be a flexible document. It's supposed to be adaptable to modern times. And then they'll say, well, all we're doing is enforcing the Interstate Commerce Clause or the General Welfare Clause. And they are able to rationalize in their own minds, but just think of all of what the executive branch does. I mean, whether it's Republican or Democrat, they're a law unto themselves. They write law, they enforce law, administrative law is totally controlled, and the people seem to put up with it, and the Congress doesn't do anything about it. The Congress perpetuates it all. And then we're supposed to be rescued by the courts. But the courts aren't very good at helping us at all. Occasionally we have one victory or two, but essentially, you know, the country has rejected the basic principles on which we were founded. So I think that's what our goal should be, and that's why I am delighted with the progress of the Campaign for Liberty, is that this message is getting spread. Both spread in the academic sense of spreading the ideas, but also grassroots organization where it will eventually affect, the political system.